What's going on with my camera? Let's fix this, guys, first. Is this better? Yeah, obviously, very much better. Look at that. We do have some important news today. Seems like XRP right now is just, it's been absolutely bearish at this point. And it seems like it's going according to the opposite plan. So we saw just a small pump and then like a downhill, a downtrend. At this point, it's like catching a falling knife, even between levels 1.8 and whatever it is. I don't trust enough. I don't trust these levels enough, in my honest opinion. So I'm still waiting for where we go here and just go with the flow, really. That's what I want to do right now. But here we go. So let us see. Where do we start from here?
Very, very nicely today on December 3rd, 2025. And we got to talk about all the updates that are actually causing the rally in the cryptocurrency market, as we're seeing a really strong relief across the global markets. But remember, as always, never financial advice, just trying to put you guys on the plays that I'm in. If you're new around here, smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm and also consider subscribing to the channel. So Bitcoin 92.8 tapped $94,000 during the overnight trading hours. Ethereum at 9,900, outpacing and outperforming BTC.
So yeah, XRP is the one that's taking a bearish hit. Maybe it's not so much retail as we saw before. It's not what we were expecting for XRP. Like, we're hitting downtrend after downtrend after downtrend. Again, could be the possible scenario we saw last time where it broke out again, as we just waited and waited, and XRP, you know, suddenly went back to all-time highs. So I think $2 still the bottom. So,
and XRP at $2.17, up about 0.3% on the day. BNB is also rallying. We're seeing altcoins showing signs of relief, more so than even Bitcoin. So do I dare say that we are entering altcoin season? Maybe not yet, but we're getting...
I definitely think we're very far away from altcoin season at this point.
Very, very close.
Especially with prices like that.
Let's talk about XRP coin.
But it's trying to find a further downtrend.
Real quick here. $2.17, $4.15 billion US dollars exchanging the hands of traders over the last 24 hours. If we look at the 1 month chart for XRP, you guys know we've had lousy sideways trading with ETF inflows beginning. Yesterday, Bitwise having their XRP ETF also begin trading, in addition to all the others, with billions of dollars in inflows coming into XRP's ecosystem and XRP coin. We were expecting a much more substantial rally going into the end of the year, but I don't think that's off the table even before December 31st, 2025. Looking at quick XRP up.
So December 1st, 2025, I think it's going to be even like later than that.
Updates from my personal portfolio, $2.17 per XRP coin, right around 218. We're sitting at $11,756.21 on my iTrust Capital account. The market is still in fear, by the way.
I'm using Toobit, by the way, but it's obviously not looking so good because every time we try to go above 2.2, it just like rejects. It rejects it, so it's a worrying factor.
So with that being said, it's still a good time to double down. And if you want to do so with iTrust Capital, they're offering you 100 free.
So yeah, guys, you get the idea. US, we got the unemployment news in, and you know that a lot of people can find jobs, which is something that I've been saying about July anyway, about this. So it's not like some, you know, it's like kind of discovering the old waters. We saw this for some time now. We saw the same patterns, how easy it is to get jobs.
Losing jobs, guys. Negative 32,000 jobs in November, while a gain of 10,000 jobs was expected. So basically, there's a differential of 42,000 jobs in the negative relative to what was expected. So what the Kobesi letter is telling us, the Feds have no choice at this point but to cut rates again.
I mean, it could be also no rate cuts. Like, they do have a choice.
Bitcoin hits a 2-week high in cautious crypto market recovery. And you guys can see some of the things that are fueling the recovery. As mentioned, Bitcoin extending a tentative rebound on Wednesday, climbing to a 2-week high as traders look for signs that the wider crypto market.
It's really hard to take a trade here, but I am going to go ahead and feel like, because my personal opinion, $2 is the bottom. We're still sticking to the plan with a top loss and stop loss, and go over here, go to advanced, set the $1 and a 1% loss. So that's going to be the maximum of our portfolio, and just buy along. This is where I think it's kind of catching like the falling knife. Could go a bit lower, but that's the thing. You never know.
Market may be regaining its footage after a very prolonged sell-off. The original cryptocurrency rose as much as...
So yeah, immediately I got stop lost here, which the market seems further bearish, right? So maybe it's better that we actually short this time and take a smaller profit. We could be going down and down more and just short it, but for some reason I can't short it.
2.6% at 93,965. It topped 94K. I saw it yesterday live, and the highest intraday level since November 17th. It later lost some of those gains, got to 93.3. But the fact is, guys, we have a long way to get to the October 6th high of $126,000 BTC. Now, it's not going to be a very pretty climb up to all-time highs. The way I say it,
it's gonna be slow at this point. Very slow.
that is, if you look at Bitcoin's price action, we're not going to see a straight shot. But what I do want to see us reclaim is 100,000. If we can get back to all-time highs, there's going to be sell-offs on the way up, because remember, the market sentiment
also whale selling
is still in fear. We're not in greed. When the market is greedy, that's when we see those never-ending green candles that will continue to send upward momentum to keep us moving forward. But if you're looking at crypto as a potential investment vehicle for your money, for your wealth generation, whatever you want to call it, I still think right now we're in a window where it's a remarkable investment thing that you can do for your portfolio. We're seeing a lot of these big bankers, big institutions, Larry Fink, JP Morgan Chase's, Jamie Dimon, everybody just shifting their sentiment, shifting their understanding.
They're slowly shifting, basically. They're not instantly shifting.
Standing and actually learning about what blockchain has to offer and why Bitcoin's store of value will one day surpass that of gold's. Now, crypto.
Who knows if it surpasses gold? What if gold doesn't just rise at the time?
Currently, you guys know we need to always talk about technical analysis, because remember, previous trends sometimes can help with future predictions. BTC found support and bounced in its previous range. Just like it did last cycle, the relief rally seems to be underway. We know this time won't play out the exact same, but so far history is rhyming. Let me make this a little bigger so you guys can see. I'll make my screen a little bit smaller and look at the highlight points. Looking at previous cycles, we downtrend going.
I mean, it's pretty normal, but this downtrend, you know, you never know what's going to happen. This was never happened before in history. Like, everyone is expecting a bull run, at least historically, and we didn't get that.
Let's see, the first time around, mid-2021 going into July, we had this downtrend, found two levels of support, rallied. But again, after downtrending, this third arrow we're at right now is where we could potentially recover into a potential breakout. So right now, what I'm kind of eyeing is hopefully we can get back to the 50-week moving average. If we reclaim the 50-week moving average, then we can see Bitcoin going above $100,000, where significant profit taking will be taken.
I mean, yeah, the whales will sell. Right now they're buying the dip, but it's like catching the falling knife. So that's something I'm going to be doing. You know, I'm going to be shorting it just a bit. But as soon as we see any like drop, that's it. I'm out, you know. Very worried. I feel like a further downtrend is possible because we're not doing anything to change that. We're still on a big downtrend.
That's going to happen in the market. So with that being said, with Bitcoin's previous cycles trading ranges, we can expect a relief rally over the next few days, weeks, and even months going into 2026. But having a take profit strategy is never a bad idea going into year end. So make sure you take advantage of it if you can. Lastly, Gemini, Google AI has made a price prediction.
So yeah, they always make price predictions, but don't trust them too much.
For XRP, Dogecoin, and Shiba Inu before the end of 2025. One of ChatGPT's biggest rivals, Google Gemini AI, has released a striking December outlook.
1 billion ETF inflows and the price has done nothing. That's because literally there's also outflows.
For XRP, Dogecoin, and SHIB, warning traders that all three cryptocurrencies could face some sharp volatility through the holidays. What's most interesting below is Gemini AI's outlook outlining both potential upside and downside scenarios for each cryptocurrency heading into December. For XRP, Gemini sees December potential ranges from all the way at the bottom of $1.80 and all the way up to a $5 XRP, which would be much beyond the $3.68 price point where we once were earlier in 2025. So I would look at it as the upside potential is much higher than the downside potential. Sure, you can dollar cost average in, but XRP is showing some remarkable prices that people can get into and take advantage of the fact that we are almost at, for looking at trading ranges, we're at a trading range low. Anything below 250, I think is a grab. Anything below $3, honestly, I think is an easy grab. But if we ever get close to that 180, you guys know I'm going to
It's an easy grab when it's 180, but I feel like, you know, the problem is when the price becomes like 150, is it still an easy grab then? When it becomes 30 cents, you know, the risk becomes higher, my friend.
be doubling down.
But yeah, still your pop says it pretty well.
And I'm buying the dip, but I don't foresee that happening unless a true black swan spawns and causes the market to.
So just like breaking the momentum over here, this could be a black swan event. If we can't recover above 100K and stay above there, it's going to be a very concerning time.
Globally sell off. But I just don't see that happening. So according to Gemini's bearish model, we could see a drop of 12% from the current price of 205 down to, actually it's 217, down to $1.80 through the Christmas holiday if investors remain bearish. But I do think we have more bullish sentiment coming our way with everything happening with rate cuts and the end of quantitative tightening as of December 1st. We're seeing a big shift that's going to shift the sentiment from extreme fear and fear to more of a neutral and greedy market going into year end. So with that being said, buy the fear, sell the greed is the way I've been trading for the last few previous cycles, especially when I see extreme greed. That's when all of my take profits are triggered. And I'm like, you know what? We got to stick to our investment pathos, even our ethos, and don't fall victim to.
You got to make a plan. That's the point of the man. You know, a plan with a man is the real plan. So, yeah, could fall down to 180 for sure. If it remains bearish, you never know when you're going to catch the falling knife, but obviously it's falling down over here. It's not looking perfect. But obviously I've been sticking with my demo account and I'm in the negative now. I've been only trading XRP, but sometimes you catch the falling knife. Stuff that you can't predict happens.
Euphoria. And I'll be sure to make my voice heard when I.
So guys, let's check also ICP. ICP coin has been talked a lot lately, and a lot of people hate ICP because they bought at 375. It's probably not going to there, and there was a lot of drama upon launch. But the project they said was amazing. It's a competitive market, but I want to see what they've been up to. I haven't checked ICP for 4 years. And look, ICP is the most active blockchain in November next to Solana. So what? I never knew that.
Pretty surprising moment, I guess, personally for me. Because I wouldn't really expect that, right? I mean, the internet computer is not like that popular in the grand scheme of things. So even though it is a top 45 project currently.
So the reason why I think it's like the most active is because also there's almost no fees. So you could just keep like ordering, you know, whatever you want, what type you want. That's the thing.
In terms of market cap, but it's not like top 20 or top 10, unlike something like Solana, for instance, or like BNB. But then still, it's more than Solana, BNB chain within this specific, again, chart, right? In terms of most active blockchains. Even still, for whatever reason, we take a look at it, even ahead of Ethereum. I mean, like, whoa, I mean, I guess, it doesn't showcase the full picture, right? Because if I only take a look at this chart, my kind of presumption is that, whoa, ICP is so like famous and all this, but actually in the grand scheme of things, like the internet computer is not more famous than the other projects I just mentioned. I mean, come on, ICP is not more popular than something like Solana, it's not more popular than like Stellar. You know what I mean? But still, just within the category of the most active blockchains in November, supposedly, ICP is ranked number 1 at transactions per second at slightly over 1,000. 1,001 actually to be exact, but I'm just saying. Whereas when we take a look at something like Solana, it is around 895, or should I say, if I want to be a little bit more specific, 895.6. But yeah, besides that point, when I take a look at it as well, the average block time of ICP, again, according to this chart, is less than half a second. So it's 0.48 seconds. 480 milliseconds, that is pretty impressive. Now, this is the average block time for 30 days, right, in the month of November, but I'm just saying. Again, pretty impressive. Now, it's actually not as fast, right, in that specific category when compared to Solana, which is 0.4 seconds, so it's still less than half a second, but
I mean, this is the thing. Like, even if it's the most active, it needs to also have partnerships. So yeah, if internet market cap had a market cap of 54 billion, which is very hard to hit ICP $100, I mean, it used to be like that, didn't it? But it got dumped on. Like, then the prices were like 236 or whatever it was, so it's 99% down. You guys got to explain more in the comments about this.
The kind of perception is that if I didn't want to be a part of this quote-unquote roller coaster, if I didn't want to be a part of this movement where it sometimes does this or does that in either direction, right? Then I could have just easily not believed in this space, but then I do. The reason being is because, I don't know, I just decided that I wanted to enter the altcoin space, even though I clearly could have easily not done that. But then I just did it anyways. And the reason why I'm still holding, I just don't think I've seen an altcoin season. And also, I don't think that, I've seen what ICP could do during an altcoin season during the cycle, because I just haven't seen one. Now, in the meantime, though, I mean, all I can do is read, just stay patient. That's about it. Other than that, I mean, I'll look at the updates when it comes to the internet computer, and I'll take a look at something like, for instance, the statistics of it. But really, that's all I can do. Now, people like to say sometimes, oh, Dfinity is not taking this project seriously. Some people may say,
I mean, like, you're competing against in the most oversaturated market. It is a scary process.
that. And some people have said that to me, but I just don't get that, because personally, in my perspective, how? If they did something like Caffeine AI, I think that's taking it very seriously. If we consider what is the biggest thing Dfinity has done, I think historically for the internet computer, or at least kind of surrounding it, right? Arguably, I would say that it is Caffeine AI. I mean, what else could I even really talk about? You know what I mean? So when it comes to something like, Caffeine AI, I think it is pretty impressive. Now, is it still just kind of getting started? Well, yeah, I mean, there's still a long ways to kind of go before it really becomes established and all this type of stuff. But I'm still very impressed that they even thought about that nonetheless. Because some other projects out there, they just don't really care. They spend their resources on other things. Maybe they try to, advertise, or maybe they don't really do anything and just kind of chill and just wait. If, let's say, there's an altcoin season, that's it. But that just doesn't seem to be the vibe that I'm seeing when it comes to Dfinity. It seems like they're still putting that effort. It still seems like they still care about the project. And ultimately, I still think they care about the internet computer. Now, when it comes to the internet computer, people like to say, oh, it's under some stiff competition and all this type of stuff. Well, yeah, I get it. And that's why something like Dfinity even still bothers to do stuff like Caffeine AI. Because imagine if...
I mean, I like the idea of ICP doing this. Let me check what ICP has been up to. ICP coin. And again, a lot of people do not like ICP. Why? Because they bought it at $200, and as soon as it hits $100, this is why I don't think so. Like, people who've been holding here are going to sell all of it. But they've been making partnerships. They're still very active. A lot of people don't agree with the ICP coin, like the idea of ICP coin. So let's ask ChatGPT ICP coin. ICP coin over here. Yeah. So ICP coin plan. So you mean what is ICP about? Let's ask for that. It's telling me the whole plan. Most DApps that run front ends on cloud servers, the ICP serves them on chain from canister, no central points of failure, full decentralization. Like, it's a very competitive market. This is what I think. The big idea is run websites, app, and smart contracts directly on a blockchain. Again, with Cloudflare running $1 trillion business without needing traditional servers, Cloudflare gets like a lot of their customer base. There is market for this, but just ain't there yet. You know, it's a very niche thing. People don't really care about, you know, paying for computation and storage. They don't care about governance and stuff like that. They only care about if ICP is going to make them profit or money. And it's like, you know, down. It's still what it used to be 2021. So it's very active, but it's building, but it's a competitive market. So I could see further downtrend until we get some sort of a retail reversal. So retail is what needs to happen at that point. And I will keep you guys updated with more news as well on that. So is Kaspa cheap now? I didn't get it at half a cent. So was I wrong on Kaspa? Let me know in the comments below. But let's watch a video on Kas.
With Kaspa. In the early days, we saw a very nice rally on the back of very impressive technology. For the last year, Kaspa has been bleeding. Is this potentially a buy the dip opportunity? Let's have a look at the on-chain data, the data most people are not considering. Now here is why everybody got into the project. Technology that's scalable beyond what Bitcoin offers, yet the same kind of promised decentralization. The problem is that the investments in the project grew much faster than the actual usage. Have a look at the number of active addresses. This is from kas.fyi, but we've also got a longer term chart. Every now and then we see waves of usage that then subsequently die down again. There isn't real growth here. It seems to be mainly test transactions that sometimes push up the usage and then make it collapse again. Here's the
This is the thing. Kaspa is still being built. It's in the very early stages. I didn't get a half a penny, but the amount of retail users coming into it is way beyond what the people are building. Like, there's some great devs working on it. So that's one popular thing, but we're still in very, very early stages.
Transaction count, again, the short-term chart, and here the longer-term chart. Again, it's really not that impressive. And that's probably the main reason why the price development is struggling that much. Kaspa is getting pitched as a replacement for Bitcoin, but Bitcoin in the early days looked very different in terms of usage. Have a look at the number of active Bitcoin addresses. This grew quite consistently in the early days. It stopped growing in the last 6 to 7 years. That's because now Bitcoin is mainly used as an investment vehicle.
Yeah, it is too expensive to send anything. It's like $20, right?
Yes. Yes, the last.
But Kaspa saw a downtrend because of the big whales that bought it at a penny. So now they could just sell it at 19, 20 cents. So it kind of makes sense to me that there's a downtrend here, right?
Altcoins that are not in the top 10. We have peaked in Q4 of last year, but there's the argument that we're already in a downtrend for the last 2 years. Yes, the last few days have been positive, but it's just a drop in the bucket. Even a 27% outperformance cannot compensate for a quite consistent bear market, right? A drop of more than 80% again versus other altcoins. So this is idiosyncratic to Kaspa. Kaspa is doing worse than the rest. This is not just the altcoins in general going down. This is Kaspa going down more. Many altcoins seem to be struggling at roughly the $5 billion market cap. So between 2 to 5 billion, that's where most altcoins that get hyped tend to peak. And then at some point, the market makers potentially, they start selling off if there's no additional interest. And that's then when the market cap declines again. It's important to keep that level between 2 billion and 5 billion in mind. If you're interested in any other trending altcoin, have that as a reference point. If it's already in that range, it might turn around if growth doesn't continue. I don't really like doing it, but that's how the YouTube game works. That's how the algorithm works. Please give this video a like if what you've seen so far has been used.
So yeah, I think the issue with Casper right now is just there's a lot of whales. You know, the project looks great. Don't get me wrong. The project, the whales are there, but the retail, you know, once it's gone, you can have an amazing project, but if the retail is gone, it's scary, right? Here's where the scary part is. I didn't get it half a penny, so that was one of my biggest regrets.
We can see though,
but a lot of the retail, like a lot of the whales have started to sell off some of their positions. Why? Because, you know, like suddenly when they wake up with a 20x portfolio, of course, there's going to be a drop down. CAS. It's 5 cents now. Well, it really dropped off. Huh? You can actually check spot. Let's check the daily charts. So the daily charts for Caspa, we could be seeing a further downtrend here if the retail doesn't come back. Because it was literally 20 cents and went down to 6 cents, right? And people were pushing for it for $1. So it kind of makes you wonder what's happening.
How long term we are less positive than we used to be before that flash crash. So it looks like a market maker that tended to be bullish most of the time went out of business. We don't yet have the news which market maker went belly up here. But at some point, we might see the contagion here, right? The same way how 3 Arrows Capital, for example, went belly up as a consequence of the Terra Luna collapse. We might see some kind of delayed news coming from that October 10th crash. There is a structural change, right? Market makers aren't that bullish anymore. And that's the same for Caspa. The open interest, so the amounts of bets on Caspa have crashed. They went from 200 million all the way down to 75 million. And it now continues to go down. So there's very little leverage in the asset. The trading volume, it did stay.
So yeah, still big whales trading confirms that the big whales are selling, because if you have big selling volume, basically a lot of these, you know, whales are out. Unfortunately, it does seem like a further downtrend, not because of Caspa being a bad project, but because of retail getting, like, you know, just retail has been more careful this market cycle. And as I said, they're going to take, you know, first they're going to take not look at the altcoins.
Could rally, but long term as an investment over the next years, I've got my strong doubts.
So yeah, smash that like button. If you want to get started trading XRP today, simply click the link in the description below, click register to participate, and sign up over here for a free bonus. Like the video and join me, link in the description below. So yeah, let's check ZBCN. First time I'm hearing about Zebek Network. ZBCN. Let's talk about it, because it's the first time I ever hear about it. Probably cool project. I want to see what happens with it. Look, you can see obviously a sort of a downtrend on the daily time frame. Let's see. Downtrend on the daily time frame. So that ain't good. But is there a reason why it is? Look, but this is bullish though. Look, we made a small support on the daily time frame, and immediately in the bearish market cycles, we saw some sort of a reform for up of 30%.
When it comes to Zebek, even though nothing I say is financial advice, what do I mean by this? We already kind of know, first of all, right?
And guys, if you want to get trade Zebek, join Toobit. If you want to get started trading XRP today, simply click the link in the description below, click register to participate, and sign up over here for a free bonus. Like the video and join me, link in the description below. So yeah, there's a Zebek bonus and XRP bonus if you guys are interested, but let's get right in the video.
Again, if we take a look at its ISO 20022 compliance architecture, we have to think about what implications that could hypothetically do for Zebek in regards to Swift, right? And Swift is pretty famous in this space, I would say, when it comes to, you know, the global trade finance space. So then when I take a look at something like that, my perspective is that, sure, NatPay is not the most popular thing out there. Like, a lot of my friends don't know what that is. But at the same time, we have to consider kind of the aspects of ISO 20022 when it comes to NatPay, and then how Zebek, just inherently because it is focused on that kind of global trade and finance space, what that could maybe do for its future. Now, only time will tell. I mean, I can't control anything when it comes to this, and ultimately, again, it's an only time will tell type of scenario. But I am pretty, I would say, happy to see what Zebec is.
I'm also like to see that, the community rallies up and at least tries to catch the mids. So if you guys don't know, these are the mids here. Bam. This is like the first wave of cycle, I would say. So look at that. Look at that. Almost touched it. Beautiful. And you can still see people are selling, like big whale 17K sale, 47K. So obviously some of these whales are dumping it.
Is doing so far, fundamentally. Now the price is a different case, but I'm just saying because, 10 cents, the CBCN is still over 30 times lower than that. But at the same time, I do still like what I'm seeing when it comes to the fundamentals of Zebec. Not to mention, some of my friends out there, they like to say, oh, what Zebec did with Algorand is way better than what they did with NatPay. Now, here's the thing. Algorand, I think sometimes a lot of my friends out there, they kind of they kind of think about how popularity equals better partnership. But we have to consider sometimes the context, right? Better. Sometimes a project, if they have a certain mission and they're partnering with another project that is more popular, but it doesn't really do much for their mission, how is that even that beneficial for the fundamentals long term? I think it's much better in some cases to kind of have an arguably less popular partnership.
So they want to do real-time crypto payrolls and payments. And it's 156 on the network. What trading volume? About 10 million. So it is something that they're working on here. They're cooking something. First, this is AI-based PayFi and RWA from major listing and trading to new institutional partner compliance, milestone and ecosystem expansion. Give me guys follow on Twitter if you guys haven't already. But Zebec 30 to 60 in daily trading among Solana's top performers. 15 million doing buyback, staked. The staked is awesome. Like if they have staked, I'm guessing people, are staking it because they get rewards. Work with Circuit to maintain the highest institutional grade security. Looks professional. Again, this is all relying on retail. This is something that XRP is trying to already break the market in, if I understand correctly, like payment platforms. And this might be at some time before they build something of value. Like might be a few years even before something big is being built. They're building now, don't get me wrong, but it could be a few years before we really get that big breakthrough.
But it actually kind of helps their mission, because even though Algorand does have an aspect of ISO 20022, but the thing is, Algorand as a layer 1 blockchain, I mean, we have to consider the adoption, I think, is pretty good, but in the long term, arguably, I would say that when it comes to what they did with Algorand, I don't know if it's going to be as dynamic as what they did with NatPay, because Algorand, sure, it's more popular, but what is it really going to do, for Zebec moving forward? It's just something that they could say, I think, moving forward to kind of maybe give themselves a little bit more credibility. But in terms of the actual fundamentals, I actually like NatPay, or should I say what they did with them, a lot better than Algorand, even though I am still a fan of Algorand, but I'm just saying. So overall, when I take a look at Zebec, I like how they're treating it seriously. I don't think they're treating it just for fun and all this.
I think that's true. When you see it, this looks really professional. The issue is, will retail have enough time to check back and, go for it?
This type of stuff. It's like, for instance, right? It's kind of like the effort that kind of counts sometimes. Like, let's say, for instance, I'm trying to play tennis or something like that. If I'm constantly practicing and all this type of stuff, just the effort that I put, even though I may not be that good, sometimes a coach or something like that, they might take a look at that and be like, whoa, wow, at least there's some effort there. As opposed to, let's say I don't really put any effort, then, maybe it's a different case. When I take a look at something like Zebec, my perspective is that when it comes to a project like this, because it is trying to still have that ISO 20022 compliance, having partnerships like, for instance, with NatPay and all this, I think that right there, is kind of playing a bit into the narrative of ISO 20022. Because sometimes A lot of my friends out there, they kind of have this perception that, oh, you know, if let's say a project does not have an aspect of ISO 20022 in the kind of global trade and finance space, they don't really kind of consider it as like kind of officially focus on that. Even
I mean, it's good that we're going to this, you know, this is to enter the big boys game, but is it gonna help that much, or is it just like focusing on the core product here? Like, I really think focusing on the core product would really help.
closer in terms of the perception, I think, when it comes to XDC. But that's just my point of view. And XDC is a pretty massive project within this space. It's often considered the third most popular behind something like Stellar. So if Zebec could maybe arguably kind of reaffirm itself as the number 4 within that space, I don't see why that's such a bad thing. Now, overall, in my perspective, when it comes to what Zebec is trying to do, I mean, sometimes you like to say, oh, why don't they update more? Well, they're still updating, right? And the thing is, updating every single day, like, it's kind of tough sometimes if there's no new partnership. So I feel it's pretty commendable how Zebec, even though they don't necessarily have a new partnership every day or something like that, but at least they're still kind of updating. And I like the cadence of their updates, right? Because they're not only just updating when the market is doing good. Like, if we take a look at it not too long ago, when ZBCN had a lower market cap than right now, Zebec was still updating. You know, they just don't stop when it comes to that, it feels like to me. Other projects out there, they're still even stopping currently. So, yeah, I just do like that aspect when it comes to Zebec. Overall, I'm just, you know, taking a look at it and just staying patient.
I'm just gonna wait and see what happens. There was plenty of projects like this, which unfortunately like crashed. Payment processing is super competitive, as I said, but it could be a start of something fresh, in my opinion. It could be an awesome new way, a start of something for people to come back and see, hey, this is possible, that is possible. Hey, why not? If it works, it works. We do have more of these. How many Kaspa do you need to become a millionaire? Well, slowly. You can be a Kaspa millionaire pretty much sooner than we expected because it's getting cheaper and cheaper. But well, let's do the simple math. I like this airdrops.com YouTube channel. Fair launch of Kaspa, launched in November 2021 with no pre-mining, no pre-sale, no private allocations. Like, it's like one of a kind project. I can't explain how one of a kind this is because most of these projects would be like obscene, but there were rumors that a Bitcoin developer was working on Kaspa, which I find, you know, believable because I think there was multiple Bitcoin developers and people who created Bitcoin. I don't think it was just one person. So I think maybe one of the original developers or at least helpers started, you know, deving it, and that's the big thing here.
Meaning zero pre-mine, no pre-sale, and no tokens allocated to insiders. It was built from the ground up by the community. The mastermind behind Kaspa is Dr. Jonathan Sompolinski from Harvard University, whose 2013 Ghost Protocol paper is actually cited in Ethereum's white paper. Originally developed through DAG Labs with backup from Polychain Capital, Kaspa transitioned to a fully decentralized community-led model right after launch. So what makes Kaspa special?
What makes it special is the developers. The developers are like, you know, internet geniuses at this point. They are literally internet geniuses and have made, you know, massive progress that most people could not make. So it really makes you consider why is there random audio coming out. But you can kind of see here, token economics, fair launch, you know, it launched at 0.5 cents. I didn't buy it, so at least I'm going to make a few videos for Kaspa, and people will smash the like and support me. And then maybe join me, guys, and trade Kaspa on Toobit. This is where I trade, so if you guys want, I do think Kaspa could hit 2 different price points. If you want to get started trading XRP today, simply click the link in the description below, click register to participate, and sign up over here for a free bonus. Like the video and join me, link in the description below. All right, so we're back.
BPS with a long-term vision of 100 BPS. Real-world use cases are expanding rapidly too. Marathon Digital, one of the biggest Bitcoin miners, announced they've mined 93 million CAS tokens worth approximately...
I mean, why do they mine it? Probably to sell it. But it's good that they're doing that because, well, that gives Kaspa like the original plan with Bitcoin, what it was.
$15 million as a revenue diversification strategy. On the ecosystem front, Kaspa has seen explosive growth. Over 100 decentralized applications now exist on the platform. In August 2025, the Kasplex Layer 2 ZK EVM rollup launched, bringing Ethereum virtual machine compatibility to Kaspa.
This is what I like to see. Like, you know, it's so open-minded. It's trying to work with other projects, not being like its own thing.
This means developers can deploy Solidity-based smart contracts, unlocking DeFi, NFTs, and complex dApps. KRC20 tokens, similar to Ethereum's ERC20, were introduced in December 2024, providing foundational infrastructure for asset creation. The social media community has surged to 500,000 followers across Twitter and Telegram, which reflects strong grassroots engagement. And I was pleasantly surprised to find out that developer contributions grew 50% year over year, signaling healthy long-term ecosystem.
Yeah, the developers are simply amazing. They know what they're doing with Kaspa. That's what I like to see. They know what they're doing and they have a vision, they have a plan. A lot of these developers, they build it because they like it.
System development. As usual, I will not allow myself to overlook the risks, even if a project seems quite positive at the outset. Well, Kaspa's fair launch story is its greatest asset for the...
This is like the, you know, what really helped them. It wasn't about money, it was just about winning.
Decentralization. But it's not without risk. The pure community-managed open-source governance model, combined with the 0% insider allocation, is highly resilient against centralized control. However, Kaspa does rely on miners for security, and it will need to keep expanding its public node count. The major risks are largely technical and competitive. Regulatory risks exist, indeed, as with all proof-of-work assets, though its security profile is similar to Bitcoin. Technical risk centers on the successful deployment of the complex Dagonite protocol and the continued growth of the new EVM ecosystem against established competitors like Solana and Avalanche. If this EVM ecosystem fails to gain traction, then Kaspa risks remaining a niche, fast payment rail rather than a global general-purpose platform. Now, let's move on to the price action as we come closer to the $1 million question. See, Kaspa has had a great bullish run, gaining over 10,000%, and it hit its all-time high on August 1st.
This is where I'm worried about. Like reclaiming all-time highs, you're gonna need some retail, because right now demand for like layer 1, layer 2 chains is very low. There's just so many layer 1, layer 2 chains overall.
2024. But since then, the price is in a correction and is currently down 75%. However, given the project's core technology developed...
Like the core technology is still there. It's just like people don't want to buy into things that they don't think will get them money.
Development activity and roadmap still progressing, I think brighter future is ahead for Kaspa. Now, for the fun part, guys. How many KAS tokens do you need to become a millionaire? First, the bear case. Let's say it hits the previous all-time high at 20 cents. That would be 4x from here. And for that, we would need 4 million tokens right now, which would cost us $250,000.
So yeah, pretty, there's like a big risk if it hits 20 cents again. I mean, it might hit, but it could take another cycle. You never know.
Second, the base case. The price hits 50 cents. That would be 2.5 times from the all-time high and 10x from the price right now. In that case, we would need to buy 2 million tokens worth $100,000 today. And lastly, the bullish case is if Kaspa goes to $1. That would be a mouth-watering 20x from here.
This is what my friend says would be amazing. And I think this is possible. Checking like if it could be big as XRP, but obviously this cycle, maybe not, probably next cycle. Still, this is something that has happened in crypto before. And it's not even like, oh, it's crazy. You know, it is the main thing.
Diversification asset for large-scale miners. Major exchanges like Kraken, Binance, and Coinbase now list KAS, and that dramatically improves liquidity and accessibility. There's currently no KAS ETF, but given Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF approvals, it's not out of the question if Kaspa achieves top 10 status. See, institutional demand coupled with the proven speed of the technology is the necessary fuel for that $25 billion market cap. Now, to summarize, Kaspa has solid fundamentals, elite decentralization, and genuine technological innovation. The fair launch creates long-term holder alignment, but it's still early. and proven at scale and faces fierce competition. So now you've got the full picture. You know the tech, the numbers, the risks, the upside. And guys, if you've got value out of this breakdown and you want more content like this, then hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who keeps asking.
So do you guys think it will reach $1? I mean, for $1, we need one, institutional interest, like very heavy. We need the bigger demand for Caspa. And again, if we want to see, if you want to become a millionaire, you know, like this is not guaranteed. This is super risky. So just know that in mind, that these things are super risky and probably will be for the foreseeable future. It's not just a joke, you know, it saw 20 cents because the retail was there, but I don't think it's going to drop below a cent unless something terrible happens, like truly a bear market. So that's where we go from here. Timeline could be more than 48 months. We don't know where it would pump. It's a scary thought, you know, because it could happen at any point. What's XDC network? You know, I want to see, is XDC on Toobit, guys? Smash that like button. So XDC is not listed yet on Toobit, so let's get to 10 likes if you want more content like this. But XDC network is something I've been hearing about. What exactly it is? We're going to be checking that out. Seems like bringing deep chain technological knowledge, coin introduction, traditional finance and blockchain technology. A lot of projects have been doing this.
The speed and transparency of a public blockchain for settlement.
Like the ICO coins are really growing. So I don't know much about XDC so far. I've been following for years. XDC, XLM, and XLP. So a lot of these are trying to join the compliant tokens.
Now let's break down XDC's tokenomics. XDC has a max supply of 38 billion, with about 18.5 billion tokens circulating, and the rest, close to 19.5 billion, still locked. At mainnet launch, 40% went to founders, community, core team, and advisors, vesting at 3% per year over decades. Another 26.67% was set aside for ecosystem.
So yeah, we're going to be seeing what happens with the ecosystem growth. Obviously, it's going to be, like, I have no idea before I heard about this. Network performance in XDC 2.0.
The centers on integration.
I got to even check what XDC 2 means. XDC network is an enterprise-grade open-source blockchain protocol, an EVM compatible chain with enforceable smart contracts. It's suited to who? I'm guessing companies. Liquefy trade finance industry through the tokenization of real-world assets, so our RWA and financial instruments. So again, RWA, yes, I am bullish on it, but the issue is with RWA, it will take some time to grow. Like, it's going to take time to build these projects, but it's number 66 on the charts. You can actually see the prices over here. Like, look at this. You know, this is what happens when you grind. Since 2018, you think your project is dead, and suddenly you pump up to 16 cents. And then they pumped up another rally, not fully hitting it, but still good enough. So good chance.
And validation. And here are some major ones. XDC Ventures acquired the Contour Network, a digital trade finance platform used by tier 1 global banks. This move is massive because Contour was previously backed by top banking institutions like HSBC, Citi, and Standard Chartered. The acquisition directly embeds XDC technology into the existing trade finance infrastructure, instantly connecting the network to a live massive enterprise user base, which has been previously validated by these financial giants. Another one is the announcement of Brazil's Verde Capital that they plan to tokenize $1 billion in real-world assets on the XDC network, which validates its role as a key RWA infrastructure provider. The third example is with regards to regulated access. What I mean is that the XDC network ETP is now listed on major regulated European exchanges like Euronext Amsterdam and the SIX Swiss exchange. This provides compliant institutional access to the token for traditional investors and pension funds, and solidifies its status as a recognized financial asset. And the final point I want to drive home here is that XDC is emerging as a compliant settlement layer. This is evidenced
So what does this mean, like comply? Isn't like XRP doing this already?
By the growth in native regulated stablecoins, such as USDC on XDC. Recent data shows over $15 million in native USDC has been minted on the network underscoring its utility for both DeFi and enterprise finance. Overall, developer activity remains strong. The network celebrated its 6th anniversary in June.
This is what I like to see, like actually working on the long-term path and then just, you know, going all in. This is awesome, awesome, awesome to see.
2025, and with over 800 million transactions processed since mainnet launch, it maintains consistent uptime and reliability. For an enterprise blockchain, security and decentralization are paramount, and we are about to examine these right now. In the case of XDC, the XinFin delegated proof of stake uses a masternode system which requires validators to have a high stake, setting a high
So yeah, if you do a high stake, obviously the price could go up.
bar for participation. Furthermore, XDC is one of the few chains to have achieved ISO 20022 compliance, which is a global standard for financial messaging, which is non-negotiable for integrating with legacy financial systems. However, no investment is without risk. As a project focused on institutional adoption, its success is heavily reliant on regulatory clarity and corporate buy-in. While partnerships are strong, any significant market downturn or regulatory roadblock could slow down adoption. Furthermore, with a large portion of the initial supply allocated to founders, advisors, and ecosystem development, we, as potential investors, must trust the team's long-term token release schedule and commitment. Okay, now we have come to the fun part.
So yeah, this is the fun part where how much do you need it to get to 1 million? I mean, it's same for all of these projects. They're really small here. XDC network fell over past 24 hours, underperforming the broader crypto market. Coiling tied the bottom of a relentless downtrend. Any bounce from the 0.048 zone has been slapped down, printing a clear series of lower highs. The latest rejection coming near 0.06. Strong fundamentals in trade finance. Trade finance, again, is the part. I'm not really sold on RWAC yet. I think they need a lot of time. Aren't stopping the chart from bleeding yet. A decisive move is making. Like, you gotta understand something. If you want RWA to be big, you have retail, and we have no retail in crypto space right now. So I like that it's listed on a lot of exchanges, though. Pretty cool. So some of the stuff here still needs to be, like, you know, fixed, in my opinion. Let's talk one on Hedera. Hedera has been talked a lot about its utility. Best Web3 developer tools North America 2025. So yeah, Hedera has been grinding it out. If you guys don't know, Hedera has been around since HBAR, has been around during the bear market. Let's just check on the spot here. You can trade on the spot, and you can actually trade on Toobit HBAR. So show them some love and support, link in the description below. But HBAR was actually during the bear market in that sense. If you check here, they have listed HBAR because it's getting massive trading volume. And it's still down. Obviously, it follows the path of retail. So 0.29, and it's down 0.13. But it's still going to be building. Like, it's going to be building for many years. If you want to get started trading XRP today, simply click the link in the description below, click register to participate, and sign up over here for a free bonus. Like the video and join me, link in the description below.
Again, some people like to say, oh, people forgot about Hedera, they don't care about it anymore. But still, at the same time, if I take a look at just this award right here, I think it kind of showcases sort of the recognized fundamentals of something like Hedera, because, you know, I mean, I wasn't expecting this. If they didn't have this award, so to speak, right, would I still be a fan of it? Yeah. You know, this does nothing actually in terms of me liking it more or not. But at the same time, I just find it pretty unique because, you know, it is pretty impressive that they even won an award at a time like this, because people may be taking a look at something like HBAR and they're like, oh, you know, take a look at the price of HBAR. It's not doing the best and all this. I mean, keep in mind, right? HBAR, in terms of market cap, is actually still top 25 within this space. So yeah, I mean, it hasn't done the best comparatively speaking to, let's say, December of 2024, but that could be said with a bunch of other altcoins. And I remember back in 2024, the market cap was what? Around like, 1.5 billion and all this, especially before it had that rally back in December. But I'm just saying, it's not, I think, kind of that disappointing for me to see how arguably, even as of right now, with a market cap around 6 billion, even though, yeah, I mean, it's had a pullback from around 13 billion. However, in my perspective, it's not as low as it was back in 2024 at one point. That's just kind of my point of view. So ever since 2024, actually, HBAR hasn't done that, I think, in my personal perspective. I can't speak on anyone's behalf.
So you get a pretty clear idea of what's happening to HBAR. Like right now, HBAR is just 50-50 on it. A lot of the people have sold, a lot of people are still holding.
Once I was in this space, I looked into it, and then I kind of began to understand what it was all about.
This is what I like about projects like HBAR. They actively build even during the bear market. So they don't care. They're still going to keep building, right? So that's the awesome price. Awesome point. But you kind of see over here, HBAR drops 2.2% mid-market sell-off. Bam. Look at that. That's not very good right now, is it? It's trying to recoup from its listing price of 2019, dropped from 46 cents to 3 cents. Actually got back to 2021, and now this was a bit weaker bull market.
So to me, I don't think Hedera is ever going to
So we need a further downtrend right now for HBAR. We need to see the markets recover. We need to retail back. So it's what? Down? It's down 63%. It's down, let's see how much. It's down about 50%, which isn't the worst. Maybe a few more percent down, but you get the idea. 50% down. Probably even more than that, but I'm just gonna go for a baseline here on this next rally. So the community is still pushing it.
Become as popular as something like an Ethereum or something like that, or like a BNB chain, but I don't necessarily expect it to do so anyways, and I don't need it to do that anyways, in my perspective. Personally for me, if HBAR never has a bigger market cap than BNB or something like Ethereum, I'm not gonna complain about that. It's pretty difficult to...
It doesn't have to be. That's the thing. It doesn't have to be. It can just grow a bit besides it.
More than 10 grand. But that's just my point of view. Now, granted, though, I'm not going to be looking at a microcap because, sure, if there's something with a very low market cap, in theory, the ceiling could be a little bit more in some cases, but who knows? I'm not going to be able to know which microcap is going to do this or do that. So I instead just focus on projects that have a pretty good following, that already have a pretty established market cap presence. For instance, again, HBAR is top 25.
So yeah, that's what I like to see, because sometimes they can blow up. $3 HBAR is market cap 120 billion. It's going to be hard, but
to showcase it. I don't...
At least it's trying to build. So I'll keep you guys updated with more news. As you can see, I'm pretty tired today. If you want, join Toobit. Link in the description below. But yeah, HBAR, pushing it out even during the bear markets. Doesn't have to be the biggest one, but needs to do something. Needs to just, it has amazing community, amazing developers. And sometimes that's enough. That's enough for them. Maybe they could do some other stuff that could push them out. I don't know, but they have 9 million accounts on mainnet. They're still building with the developers, so they're actually doing something, not just saying they will build. They actually try. And maybe 2030, that's going to be the main one. Didn't have Minister of Justice, Hedera across the public sector. This the big part of crypto, when it joins the governments and when it joins financial institutions, that's when the real prices will change. So that's why I don't think it's still going away, because you can see them grinding it out. Charles Atkins, CEO of Hedera, shares how Hedera and Heat are empowering council members to become heroes. So yeah, you get the idea. Smash that like button, guys. I'll keep you guys updated with more news on that one. So seems pretty clear. I'll just yeah, try to finish it up today because nobody's watching me yet, and